Howdy all, Molex Lives. I think it's time to play a little Sunday's Die. Man, I don't know what is happening. I've got zombie respawns in places that just cleared. I got zombie respawns in my base. I don't like that. You got zombie respawns in my base, but you didn't give me new looting options. So, I've been out and about doing a little looting today, and I hear a zombie. Where are you at? This is awfully high up on my base for there to be zombie spawns. You can spawn some zombies up here too. This is the downside of putting your base inside of a existing building. Alright. See what I can get scrapped up here. This week we didn't play any D&D. One of the guys was gone, and with him being gone and us having reached the moment where we're almost ready to play Starfinder, we worked on that instead. So there's four of us that play stuff, and so the three of us got together and worked on our characters. It's a different system, definitely, than what I'm used to. I was gonna look this up and I forgot to do it. Let me look this up real quick here. Okay. So the I needed to know how many skills there were. That's all I was looking up. Because I want to talk a little bit about character creation. And so it's pretty interesting. I'm thinking, I think I've got a point I can spend. I'm thinking of spending a point in physician so that I can start crafting some of this extra stuff. Really, I would want up to level 3 here so I can make first aid kits. But I will take some of what I just unlocked, I guess. So I think that's made with this stuff, right? Didn't I just unlock making first aid bandages? No? I don't even know what that would be under. Science? Oh, because it's made with cloth fragments. Oh, I thought it was made with bandages. Well. Was it I unlocked from that skill? Or was that it? I can't remember. It's been 2 seconds. Plaster casts. That's the other thing. Cloth fragment, cornmeal, crushed sand, and murky water. Okay, I've never made any of those before, so let's grab those supplies. Cornmeal, crushed sand, murky water, and what was the other piece? Cloth fragments. Okay, and it's made in the chemistry station? I'm pretty sure it showed that. Oh, but it'd be under medical here. Plaster cast. Sure. Make me 16 of those. So yeah, it was an interesting evening. It's a very different system than what I'm familiar with. The system we use most often is D&D 5th edition, and it's a much simpler. I hate to use the word simpler. It's not a simple game in any format, but it's streamlined, I guess, is the name they like to use a lot. It's streamlined, and all right, I'm gonna actually stick this in here. I don't think I need one of these at the moment. No. Where did I make the... Oh, I've just got so much stuff in here. It's going to be a bit before we get to the band-aids. Alright. Alright, well... Oh, did I take vitamins? I didn't mean to take vitamins. I meant to take antibiotics. Yeah, there we go. Got a lot of sickness going on in my guy at the moment. I had a rough time on top of the Shotgun Messiah factory. For sure. Alright, but I think now we can get back out and do some exploring here. So, so yeah, I'm used to D&D 5th edition. I feel like the... Whoops, I did not want to pick that back up. Was in my head that was use. So I guess it's similar. It's similar in how you construct your characters, but there's a lot more numbers involved in Starfinder. And so like in 5th edition, so they do correspond pretty closely. Starfinder is based off of a game that is based off of a version of D&D. So 5th edition is also based off of that, but it's a different concept behind it. And so there are a lot of similarities, but the Starfinder being based off of Pathfinder that's based off of D&D 3rd edition, 3.5 edition, I believe technically. 3.5 edition, I guess. And so there are definitely differences because the concept for, oh man, that tree is going to knock me out of the air because I slightly clipped it. Maybe not. Can we please go this direction that I was trying to go in? Thank you. What is this thing here? I'm gonna stop at this thing, get some iron, I think. Yep, I also can't apparently get down correctly. Oh, you can just come with me, because there's nothing in you. And so, like, one of the concepts that does not translate between the two is proficiency. And so in D&D, you choose your race class and possibly subclass, and background. And so your class and background will provide you with what skills you're proficient with. And so, oh, you know what? This is the same thing that my base is built off of. That's funny. Oh, jeez. I have 2 hit points left. Did I make any of that? Oh, I've got these, I guess. I also have these. I can't use that, though. Dang it. Are you guys going to come out of this building so I can shoot you, or what's going on over there? I hear lots of zombies trying to get to me. So proficiency is something that is not in Starfinder. So, like, for example, you're a scholar is your background, all right? Scholar, I don't even know if scholar is a thing in D&D, but I'm just making this up. Scholar would give you a background proficiency in history, just for example. And so you would get your proficiency bonus added to any history checks you made. Simple enough. And as you go up levels, your proficiency goes up. So the same concept of something you're good at and it goes up as you go up levels is carried over to Starfinder, but they do it with a system of skill ranks. And so you don't have assigned skill ranks. You choose your skill ranks. So there's like 20 skills in Starfinder. I'm sure the number's comparable to D&D. They're about the same thing. And those skills are based off of your stats. Right, I mean, everybody plays a video game, probably understands stats. I mean, this guy here's got stats. If we go in here, we've got skill stats, right? And so the trying to work here, lady. She's out calling in zombies. And so, like in D&D, right, you have the same stats, basically, in both of them. Strength, int, whiz, dexterity, constitution, charisma, right, same. So it's a very similar... it's not really that similar, but they're based off the same concepts. So a lot of things cross over. And... which makes it really interesting on the differences. So, you got the proficiencies, which make it a less... oh, no. Bad kitty. Whew. Didn't you see me put down my airplane? I was leaving. Man, nobody wants me to leave. Apparently including my guy. Attacking his own plane. Yep, way to crash in the graveyard there. And so in I can't turn this thing. In Starfinder, with the skill ranks, every time you go up a level, your class gives you a set number of skill ranks that you can add. And you can choose any skill that you want. And so it's kind of your proficiency bonus, I guess. But then you also have class bonuses. Oh, no. Wow. I don't know what I just did there, but... I mean, I do know what I did. I accidentally hit the wrong key, trying to lower the nose on my stupid fake helicopter. Who can't see anything. Yeah, this is a bad idea. I'm just leaving. I was going to come here and do some exploring in the winter biome, but it's just too much of a hassle. You think I can do this real quick? Let's just go to one of those other green territories out there. Provided I can get out of the frozen fog. So it's kind of the same thing, proficiency and skill ranks, I guess. And the... how am I still in the winter biome? Man. Am I just up that high? It's just foggy here in the forest, something? I'm just up that high, I guess. Oh. Look at that, just hanging out down there. Hi. And but the difference is that in D&D, anyone can check any skill for any reason, basically. I mean, your DM will probably, say, oh, your guy wouldn't know that, you can't make this check, or, something along those lines. But there isn't really a, my guy has training in this, versus my guy does not have training in this. Not built into the system. Whereas a skill rank means your guy has training in that particular skill. And so while there might be some things that you could do without having training in it, like a perception check, right? You don't need to be trained to look around with your eyes. But someone who is trained in advanced pattern recognitions, or I don't know, I just made that up. Something along those lines, um, would be better skilled at, perception checks. And so a skill rank into perception means you've had training in recognizing things that you wouldn't otherwise recognize. Because I don't know, not to go off on a huge tangent, but there's some weirdness to how we perceive the world, and how if you don't expect something to be there, you can't see it. And so there is some kinds of training. What is this building? Oh, it's a car. It's a garage. It's a big garage. And so it makes sense. Uh, and it is something that I wish D&D probably still had in it, because it helps eliminate people who want to make every check, right? If you can only do things that you're skilled in, then it creates a much better variety, um, of how your characters interact. Because almost anybody can sit down and use a computer, right? Anybody could push a screen on a computer that's on, um, and maybe use it a little bit, but not anybody can get into encrypted information on a hard drive without permission, right? You can't hack it if you don't have some training in hacking. You just wouldn't know how. And so that's something that's in Starfinder that's not in D&D, is some skills like hacking require training. And so that's an interesting thing that plays into the skill ranks, which are kind of like the proficiency for Starfinder. Another thing that is not in D&D, uh, but is in Starfinder, is it's kind of the opposite, I guess, of the last one. Is class skills, and so another way that they have attempted to make people more varied is that they have put a list when you choose your class of skills that are associated with your class, and therefore you get a bonus to checks made with said skills. Although some of the classes have very, very large list of class skills, which almost negate the point of having them, other than to get the +3 insight bonus. Um, Listen, insight bonus is the only bonus I understand a little bit of so far, which is why you might hear me mention it. Because there are a lot of different bonuses to your checks in Starfinder. D&D does not have those. That is a totally new concept to me. Um, and learning that they don't overlap, like you can't have two insight bonuses apply to the same skill, was something that I found confusing when I was making my character. Um, I mean, it's not hugely confusing. There's just so much new information in a new system, that I am having to continually go back and recheck. I do like a game that has a lot of rules. I'm not gonna lie, uh, and so I do enjoy trying to figure out this system. I just hope that it's not too um, too ruled to allow for a smooth game, because that's what D&D 5th edition was designed for. Was everything is more basic than previous editions of the game. Um, And so you don't have skill ranks, right? You just have, here's your numbers, roll the dice, add this number, you're done. Whereas this one has got, here's your numbers, roll the dice, add these numbers. Are there any pluses or minuses to what you rolled based on what's going on currently in the game? Although they do have that kind of in D&D, but it's determined by the DM, whereas Starfinder feels like it's more determined by the game itself. Um, for example, uh, if if you were trying to track someone in a blizzard, right? So the tracking skill on both games is survival, and so you would roll a survival check. So in D&D, there aren't any rules on how to determine the survival check, what they have to roll to beat to find it. So tracking in the snow, right, would be easier than tracking on hard ground, for example. I was going to say that part, but I don't know if there's a point. And so, but in a blizzard, it becomes harder. And so you would determine, all right, so a 10 is something anybody who knows how can do. Basically, that's what a 10 is. You might not always succeed, but you're probably going to succeed a 10 check. If it's something that you're have some skill in, and so that's the base for me is a 10. A 10 is something that anybody with a little bit of skill in it can do, and we're talking like, yeah, I can read a book. We're not talking like I've been trained to study history, on a history check, or in the case of a survival check, if it's simple, a horse walked through the mud alongside a river kind of thing, you know, um, a 10. Do you recognize that they're horse prints or not, right? Um, so the more difficult the terrain becomes, the more difficult the check might be. But in D&D 5th edition, the DM determines that check. And so Starfinder, the DM doesn't necessarily determine that check. The DM looks at a list, and the list tells you how to determine that check. And so there's actual, like, what's the ground made of? Here's your base check. Is there this weather phenomena? Is there this type of debris? Did they try to hide it? Right? And so it gives you a more detailed explanation of how to come up with your checks and what they would all add out together to be. Whereas in D&D, you might go, all right, so the ground is hard, that makes the check hard, so therefore we got like a 15 or a 17 check to try and find it. But now we're in a blizzard, right? And so how do I change it for the blizzard? Well, you might just throw disadvantage on it for 5th edition. So they roll the dice twice and they take the lower of the two. And so that's your weather condition. But in Starfinder, I didn't see anything about advantage or disadvantage. You just come up with circumstantial bonuses or subtractions, and things like that. And so it's a different kind of system. But making the characters was also pretty widely different. So the one guy, he made a Shirin Xenoseeker Technomancer. And so in D&D, right, you choose race, you choose class, you choose background to start your character. And some of the classes also start with uh, also start with where am I? I've lost myself. Okay. I should get back in my thing and head southwest, I think. So race class, sometimes you choose a subclass is where I was going next. Not all races start with, or not all classes start with their subclass. Subclass is what type of a thing you are. So like if you're a fighter, um, fighter is the base class, and then your subclass in fighter might be like an arcane archer. So your guy specializes in magic arrows. Right. He's still a fighter because he uses weapons to attack things. Uh, but his weapons of choice are bows, and then he has some abilities that give him magic arrows, right? Or like a battle master uses tactics to attack with his weapons. Or a champion is just like the ultimate weapon fighter, right? And so all his abilities focus on. Oh, dude, I said southwest. I don't know what direction you think you're going here. This is not southwest. Um, but like a champion fighter focuses on just hitting things with weapons quickly and easily. Uh, and so those will be subclasses. So they're just the focus of the class. Some classes have their subclasses. So when you choose your race determines some of your physical stats, and a lot of races have like a racial ability. So like being able to see in the dark, right? My personal favorite, I love to play fighter, and I love to play a half-orc fighter because um, I like the concept of the, big half-orc being a fighter. And I love the racial ability of Relentless Endurance. When he gets knocked down to 0 hit points, uh, once per long rest, he can activate Relentless Endurance and ignore being knocked down to 0 hit points and stay there with a single hit point left. Uh, it's one of those should have taken him down, but he's the fighter, right? And so he'll take the blow and continue on, even if it means he's almost about to die anyways. But uh, so that's your racial stuff, and then your class stuff is what you do. Are you a cleric? Are you a wizard? Are you a fighter? Your background is your where you came from before you became the thing you are now. And so like, oh, I'm out of gas. Um, I'm out of gas, and it's gonna land me right next to a zombie. Who doesn't care that I'm here, I guess. Okay. Dude, did you take... Oh, no, I just filled it up. Although it did take a lot more of that gas than I was expecting. So, Oh, I've... Oh, wow. Can we go forward, please? I don't know what you're trying to do here, but this is not it. Although, I think we're basically where I wanted to be. So anyways, I really haven't gotten to anything I wanted to say. So it was really interesting comparing the two character creations. So he did the race of Sheeran that gives you some skills based on the bug race Sheeran. He chose the background theme. In Starfinder, it's a theme instead of a background. In D&D, your background gives you some proficiencies, some of those skills that you're better at, and maybe like an extra tool you can use or something like that. It's pretty basic, but it gives you an idea of how to shape your character. I'm a scholar warrior, right? And so maybe I play a battle master because he thinks about the tactics of war, right? And so then because he's a scholar, he gets a bonus to history or investigation. Um, and oh, they won't let me look at those pumps. Okay. And so he chose the Sheeran Xenoseeker, and the Sheeran Xenoseeker. Uh, Xenoseeker is like a race that likes alien races, and so they get like bonuses to culture, which is their history check on determining, where somebody came from, or something along those lines. Uh, and then his class was Technomancer. Technomancer is their version of Wizard. It's a little more technology based, maybe. Technomancer has both like magic based spells and technology based abilities that look like spells. And so uh, that was his setup, and so it was pretty simple and straightforward. And I was surprised because I made this human operative with an outlaw background. Now the outlaw part did not really add too much complication. The human part didn't add too much complication. But the operative's start is way more complicated than the Technomancer's start. And so I was pretty surprised when we were looking at his character last night to make sure he had everything filled out correctly. Was like, uh, the operative has got like 3 or 4 different things that happen at level 1. And the Technomancer was like, here's a item that holds an extra spell for you. The end. That was it. That was all they got at level 1. They get to choose some spells, and they got 1 item. Whereas my operative was like, choose the type of operative you are. That gives you 2 extra skill ranks, plus you get an insight bonus on those 2 skills. Um, Plus you get trick shot. Plus you get access to some extra feat types. Plus you get, and I'm just like, woof. You get +1 to every skill as an insight bonus. And I'm like, this is just a lot to go through. And so I was expecting everybody's to look like that because I'd only looked at mine at that point. And then both of the guys last night were like, yeah, no, this is pretty simple. I got like 1 thing to add in at level 1, and that's it. And I'm like, oh, well, wow. And then the thing I counted up earlier was the number of skills, because the skill ranks that we've discussed are very different between the classes. And so, like, the Technomancer class gets 4 skill ranks per level, plus your int mod, which is your int score. Every 2 points above 10 counts as a mod of 1. And so, um, uh, being a Technomancer, I think he got 8 skill ranks. But my operative, with all the different things that happened to him at level 1, ended up with like 13 skill ranks to start with. And so every time I go up a level, I get 13 skill ranks. There are only 20 skills. So there's only 7 of the skills that I don't have training in. And so I think that's crazy. How much because of my race and class choice, how much skill ranks he gets. It's insane. I should probably break that down because I am collecting iron, I guess. All right, well, with that, I think it's probably a good spot to call it a day. But yeah, it was fun. We got the 3 of the characters mostly made. We found a nice online site to make characters with. Makes it a lot easier. Transferring them into Roll20 is a bit of a nightmare. The Roll20 character sheets, even though they're supposed to be the official character sheets, as in they worked with people from the company to make them, they're not very well done. Um, uh, and like, one of the things is you can purchase the books, which I did on Roll20, and then that gives you access to what they call the compendium, and then you can drag items from the compendium onto the character sheet. But you know what they don't have? They don't have all the books. They have some of the old books and some of the new books, but they don't have some of the middle books, and I don't know why. And um, and so some of the things I had to put in there manually, um, because the books we're using. And I don't mean like something weird. I mean like they don't have the armory book, which was a list of additional weapons and armor, that the campaign we're using suggests you allow your people to use. And so I had to input two of the weapons that I chose for my guy because they were not in the core rulebook, which is basically the only one we got access to, because they don't have the armory on there for some reason. They've got other books that are similar to the armory, but they don't have the armory book. Um, so I don't know what the deal is there. But you can't like drag your class or your race into the character sheet. You have to fill that out by hand. I don't know why. It seems pretty straightforward. And so it's weird that it's not. But they are bringing out the Pathfinder Nexus next year, which is its own online system. And so I'm hoping that when they get the Pathfinder Nexus going, that maybe they'll bring out the Starfinder Nexus and we can switch to that after we get going here. I put a lot of work into putting this stuff into Roll20 though. But yep. All right. With that, be brave in the small things, lean in the light, and I will talk to you later.